Driver Parallel Lines is a game that did something different. Is a game that is different, a game that I'll never forget. Driver Parallel Lines was both its first game and its sequel in one complete game. Now, Driver Parallel Lines is the fourth official driver game in the Driver series. And Ubisoft, of course, Ubisoft made the Driver series. And this game has always stuck out to me, and I always noticed it because of what they did with the game. Now, Driver Parallel Lines pretty much has two different campaigns in one game, or it's pretty much almost feels like two complete games in one game. Now, the story starts, with the game's protagonist TK, who's this young whippersnapper, young man, strapping man, who is a driver. A getaway driver, a courier, a driver for hire. Anything to do with cars, he does it. Jumping buses, jumping trains, getting from point A to point B, losing the tail, losing the cops. That's what he is supposed to do. Now, Driver Parallel Lines was a game that I played when I was still young. And pretty much the game has two different campaigns. Now, the first campaign is set in late 1970s. In America, New York, and then 28 years later there's a time skip of 28 years, which is now 2006, or the early 2000s, or back when the game was released. Now, the 1970s version has that yellow piss filter, all of the cars are old, everything is based off of old life, 1970s New York American life, and then the other half is set in the early 2000s America. And the part that got me was the fact that they don't look the same. One has old cars, your Chevy Chevelles, your old Pontiac GTOs and Chevy Impalas, and then on the other hand, in the next game, in the next time after the time skip, they have Aston Martin looking cars, they have Mazda RX-7 looking cars, which is kind of crazy at the fact that they pretty much created two full games in one video game. Now, the first part of the game starts with TK trying to get himself up in the ranks, and he works himself up to create a crew, or he becomes a part of a crew, and then they form some kind of a kidnapping, snatch and grab heist of where they kidnap a drug lord, and they want to ransom him back to the cartel. So they get the money, but after everything, TK gets framed by his crew, by the crew that he was a part of. They frame him for murder, they frame him for a bunch of things, and he gets 28 years in prison. Now, after the 28-year time skip, TK looks different, he sounds different. Because I think even the protagonist TK has two different voice actors after the time skip. Now, after the time skip in 2006, everything looks different. The city looks different, the characters look different, even TK himself looks different. He looks more angry, he looks more manly, he's bigger, he has bigger stature, even his voice sounds more manly and big and gritty now. But the part that got me was the fact of the difference between the time skips. The 1970s has that old yellow piss filter, the cars are all old, and then in the 2006 modern version, everything is bright, everything looks brighter and more colorful and less gritty and more modern. Even the NPCs have changed between the two time periods, everything has changed. And I've always felt that this was really the most notable part of the game, about how much work they really put into the game. And this was early Ubisoft. This was very early Ubisoft. And to make this game today would cost so much money. I can't even fathom the budget of the game back then. But I'll probably put it up on screen. But this game was crazy. And honestly, it was a game that I enjoyed. I think you can still pick the game up for PC on Steam. You should be able to still find it on PC or on Steam. I don't know where else. I don't know about consoles, but this was definitely a fun game, and there was really a lot of good storytelling and a lot of good narrative in the video game. Fun stunts, mini games, everything. It's a complete game. I never had anything bad to say about this game. For its time period and what they had to do with it, it was good. There was even car customizations, there was races, there was mini games, there was so many things in this game, and there was so much it had. outside of the main campaign that you could do. I had so much fun with this game, specifically running from the cops. But yes, I just wanted to mention it because Driver Parallel Lines is a game that doesn't get as much attention as it needs. The Driver series is an underrated game series and doesn't really get the attention that it needs because they really put a lot of work into these video games. Maybe I'll make more videos about driver games, but for now, this is the Chilly Man saying thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope everyone's doing well. Peace out.